Last episode, you saw us replace the Wolf 8 GTI's engine. This engine has 7,000 fewer kilometers. Still, it was exciting to find out if it was actually good. In one go, after confirming the engine was good, we took a first test drive and tried launch control. Now that we know the car is in good condition, that it's drivable, it's time for a new phase of this project.
It's time in this episode to start assembling this 8 GTI with all kinds of different parts. We think that we have everything now. Before the car goes to the paint shop, we're going to partially assemble it. Because we want to know how the panel gaps are. In other words, how the panels align with each other. Of course, we don't want to have gaps that are too big before we start painting, because that could mean that a panel might be bent somewhere. So we have to assemble it first.
And that's why we start with the side panels. To be able to remove the side panel, we first have to take off the window trims. As strange as it may seem, because underneath here, there's a hidden bolt that holds the side panel in place. And we also found a souvenir from Belgium.
Grass from Belgium, I think.
Because the remaining bolts are in the wheel well, and for the door trim, the car had to move forward.
He should start. And of course he starts.
Now that the car runs, we've parked it sideways in the workshop. This way the door can open fully, and we were able to loosen the security bolt so the door could be lifted off its hinge. After the door was removed, we could loosen the remaining bolts of the side panel, and this allowed us to take off the side panel.
The side panel is off, and we found something that confirms everything. There are no strange bends, nothing twisted, nothing bent, which is always a good thing. It's time to put on our used side panel, and then we'll continue with the other side. Headlights in, hood on, we'll just finish building it. Let's go.
Realizing how simple it is to replace a side panel made reassembling it easy too. After mounting the side panel on the front right, we reattached the door and moved to the front left. Notice how odd it looks briefly with two different colored panels. Later, it will be painted as one piece. And we just thought it was super important that all the panels we install on the car are factory original. This way, all the seams will be neat later, and you won't get those really weird gaps that you can't adjust. We'll leave the left door as it is for now, and we'll move straight onto the hood. It's crucial during repairs not to discard old parts, as you'll need to reuse some components from them. For example, in our case, we bought a bare hood with nothing on it. We also had to transfer the hooks that will fit into the lock later, and we're pretty satisfied with the result. As you can see on the right front, the seam is pretty straight, and on the left front, it sticks out a bit.
Of course, it doesn't have to be completely fixed and adjusted yet, because it will come off again for painting. But as an indication, it's about 80-85% good now, and we're already satisfied with that. Now it's time to move on to the headlights and modules. And then we'll put everything in place and check if everything works as it should.
Headlights are unpredictable and seem to have a mind of their own. Of course, we have the advantage that we can reuse the modules or the ballasts that are under the headlights from our old ones. You only know if they work after trying them. Once you've installed it in the new headlight, we'll start with the right front headlight first because everything was fine on the right front. At least the glass wasn't broken, so we're assuming it's fine. The boxes have been transferred. It was time to install the headlights in the car and then of course check if they work.
Shall we test if everything works?
As you can see, the headlights do turn on. And the high beam function works on both the left and right sides. Unfortunately, the left side of the parking light section doesn't work. Fortunately, the dynamic turn signals work well. In the back, none worked, which we believe explains the issue.
And just as I thought, the dynamic function now works at the back too because the headlights are connected. Otherwise, it would go very fast without headlights. So now, connecting the front headlights restored the dynamic tail light.
That's a relief for us. The headlights work except for the front left city light module, which we still need to order, so we'll continue with the front. In the front, or rather the front bumper, there's a very large LED strip that's always on in the city light function. We need to transfer this to our new bumper. Yes, you heard that right. We managed to get a brand new front bumper that's never been installed before and is complete. So we're super excited. We're going to put this on the car, and this will make the front complete again. In this shot, you can clearly see that the city light function in the left headlight isn't working. And what does Daniel do? He's going to try the old tapping method to see if it turns on, but unfortunately it's beyond saving. And as you know, we also have 2 broken taillights. We're going to replace them with 2 slightly used ones. They're secured with 2 Torx screws, making replacement easy. We swapped both taillights in 5 minutes. And then it was time to charge the car and head cheerfully to carry conditioning. Here we also aligned our Honda Civic Type R and welded back our 4th subframe support. We already knew how skilled Mitchell, the owner, is. We had to lift the car before starting, since the side skirt needed to be removed.
We're not here today to restore the whole car, Michelle. As you can see, it's made up of several colors, but that's not what we're here for today. We're here today for the door sill and for our A-arm. We know we're getting expert help here, which is why we've returned. Are you surprised by the damage when you see it?
No, I already looked around earlier.
Haha.
Everything I see is just minor damage.
So our assessment was on point. To be able to repair the dent in the door panel, the side skirt needs to be removed.
You have to use a hairdryer and then you can reuse it just like that.
Well, no, not really, haha.
To our surprise, the side skirt was attached with 5mm bolts, which you actually rarely see on Volkswagen models.
Yes, guys, as you can see, everything is covered up. We don't want to get any dust in the car.
To give ourselves more space, we're also going to remove the left front door, so that Michel can have the space to prepare the door pillar for repair.
They mention an angle grinder, hearing and eye protection. Pulling this should make it go down a bit. I may sound like a pro, but I don't actually know what I'm doing. That's why Michelle will help us. Let's go.
To repair the through pool, Michel must remove all paint from the damaged area, because he's going to weld all these little rings onto it here.
The through pool is stripped, and Michelle will weld the small rings on it. We'll pull on them later. I'm curious how strong it is. Michelle, is it difficult to bring back such a tactile layer under the original color later?
No, we have our tools to just replicate that like it came from the factory. In theory, anything is possible.
So soon we won't see any trace of the damage anymore, if all goes well?
Every time we're at a repair shop, we learn so much during the process. Hopefully, we'll soon manage everything ourselves. As you can see now, Michelle is attaching those eyelets to the panel where the dent is located.
My first question was, why put it here on the edge instead of in the dent?
We always start with the profiles. Those are the lines of the car, and they have to be correct first. Once those are right, then you move to the center.
Now that I've learned something new, I'm going to teach you something. Before welding on a car, disconnect the battery terminal or use a surge protector. That's exactly what Michelle did with us too. This way you don't have to reset all your settings in your radio, because your battery stays connected.
Now it's time for the chains. Okay.
As you can see, the dent comes out pretty easily because it's just sheet metal damage. If the dent had gone about 10 centimeters deeper, it would have hit a structural part. And then you would actually have had to replace the whole sill. And Daniel, of course, had to help out for a bit because he couldn't go home without getting his hands dirty. With most of the dent pulled out, it was time to start spotting. With the spotter, you can pull out a small dent from the piece of sheet metal more precisely. And you can see that happening very clearly here. He can place it anywhere there's a small dent and then give it a pull. You can see the dent pop out like that.
We've been spotting for a while now, and the dent is coming out pretty well. We're happy with it. Later, of course, we're going to remove all those little spots with a grinding disc. And of course, we're going to test fit our newly used door first. Let's see how the sill lines up with that.
And we're actually doing that because the old door has a huge dent, and of course you want a good reference point. Now Michelle can remove the old weld spots from the sill, and we're installing the new door to see how our work turned out.
Yeah, so as you just saw in the footage, we have a used door. We just fitted it as well, and we're pretty happy with how it fits. The holes will still be welded shut. After that, we'll grind it clean again. Put a layer of filler on it, then we can prime it, and then we can move on to the A-pillar.
Now that Michel is applying the filler to the sill, it can obviously start drying. I'm going to do this quickly using a paint dryer, so the process speeds up a bit. And then Michel can continue with the A-frame. As you can see, the A-frame also needs to be stripped of all paint, because we're going to do this by spot welding, just like with the sill. So it's actually pretty thin metal, and with the spotter you can pull it out very easily. So after the dent was pulled out of the A-pillar, it was time to sand it smooth again and then apply filler. Once everything is filled, sand it smooth again using the block sanding technique. This makes the result pretty smooth.
After extensive sanding, most filler layers are gone, leaving a thin, smooth top layer. Michelle can handle it. And we're going to fit the door one last time before we actually apply the primer. If we need another layer of filler, we can do that. Go ahead and close it.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah, I think that once it's in the primer and it's all one color, it'll look really good. Don't forget that there's actually a side skirt that goes over this.
Pleased with the result, we prepared to spray the primer, but first needed to mask the car further, because you don't want any overspray on the rest of the car. Of course, everything will have to be sanded later when you paint the car, but this just creates extra work. With everything taped off, we'll spray on the primer using a spray can.
Yeah, Michelle was really happy with my spray painting. He hasn't seen that before from an intern. We're ready. RDW, here we go.
Yes, let's go.
The car is running now. We're going to park it outside for a bit, then we'll admire it from the outside. And of course, we'll shoot an awesome tunnel video for you guys. Wow, that camera lens is dusty. Yeah, that's really a downside here, that everything gets dusty. Alright, here we go. The first few meters with a semi-restored car. Let's go. Woohoo. Feels weird, you know, driving a Golf HE10 without a door. Alright guys, here we are. We put the car outside for a moment to admire our work, and I'm really happy with the end result. It looks really super nice. There's still much work left on this car. As you can see, it even looks like it was shot. We'll fix that next time, but for now, like I said, we're importing the car as is, with the primer like this and the different parts. We still need to replace a small LED here since the headlight isn't bright enough. We'll fix it next time. This one turned out great as well. I'm really happy with it, and I think Michelle is too. I want to thank you so much for today. I'm happy with it. I approve it, at least. Do you approve your work?
It turned out well.
Yes, soon we're going to completely repaint this car as well. It's going to look amazing, and it will be a daily driver for my little brother. But having said all this, subscribe and tell us in the comments what upgrades you want for this awesome Golf 8. Should we add a downpipe or a wild spoiler? There are many options for this car, so let us know. See you in the next episode. Ciao.